and welcome to the sinking ship that is my channel. And where have we crash landed today? Strawberry Land. Why are we here? Because my OCs are getting transported here, kind of. I'm reimagining my OCs as if they were living in Strawberry Land, because I feel like maybe in the last year or two I've seen like so much like strawberry shortcake stuff or like strawberry shortcake redesigns, and I've always like sort of been like, oh okay, which one of my characters would suit which character or whatever. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna see where 3 of my OCs would fit into this world. The OCs in question are from Majestic Guardian. Also, I'm gonna like neglect all the sort of adults of this world of Majestic Guardian. So I'm gonna neglect the parents, the teachers, and so forth of Majestic Guardian. You can check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, stay tuned. The 3rd chapter is on its way. It's a very slow process though, because I'm turning it into a bit more of a webtoon webcomic. Yeah, without further ado, here's the video. I am gonna be sticking to like Strawberry Shortcake, the 2003, I think, one, and the Byeee Adventures one, because those are the 2 that I kind of grew up with. So we're starting off with Jaden. I was thinking of making Jaden and Sylvia, his younger sister, the sort of like sweet and sour grape equivalent of this world. But then I realized like Sylvia is so much more better as a plum person, because if we were like excluding Majestic Guardian to just the kids and just the book 1 characters, then Sylvia's like a really good replacement. I think you'll see why in like maybe the 4th chapter of Majestic Guardian or the 3rd chapter. The 3rd chapter is on its way. It's just taking a lot longer because I'm going to illustrate it as if it's a webtoon, narrate it as if it's a novel because it's written like a novel. But like here's a bit of a sneak peek. Anyways, I decided if Sylvia's going to be the plum equivalent, then I'll just have Jaden be like both the sweet and sour. Though from the 2, like Jaden's definitely the more sweeter character. You'll see him in like chapter 4 of Majestic Guardian, so he hasn't technically made his debut, but he has been around on my channel quite a bit. So a bit about Jaden as a character. He's sweet, I said that already, but he's a year older than most of the cast of Majestic Guardian, and he's seen as everybody's just like brother from the year above, like somebody that they can all joke with. He's very much into gaming. The first book of Majestic Guardian is set in 2016, though he's more into like games that are old, like from the 2000s, from like the 90s, and his aesthetic as well, with like the clothes that he wears outside of school and stuff, are like they're on the fence of being like 2000s gamer boy type of aesthetic and also like very grunge. So it was hard to kind of like mix both of those things into like a grape design. I took the like stripy like purples and greens of sour grapes palette, and I thought of ways of like adding it in a way that made him look more Jaden-y. At first I was thinking like a jumper or like maybe a cardigan, but I was having difficulty with adding in like the very grunge aspect of it. The thing is, like with the 3 drawings that I do for this video, like I wanted a bit more of a whimsical feel to them, or like slightly cottagecore. But anyways, I was happy with like the sort of like final design, the thumbnail, the grape pixel arty type of thing. Like first originally I was thinking about doing it a bit more pixel arty. The art reference that I was looking up turned out to be like the Minecraft icon. So I was like, oh, that's perfect because like Jaden gaming, it makes sense. I did give him like a little band of green in his hair. I later changed the position of the green strand in his hair so it looked more like a grape. I really should be like scripting these videos because I just don't do that, and then I always like I'm like, what do I say next? What am I saying now? What am I like? I always lose track of what I'm trying to say. I guess I'll take this opportunity to ask you to subscribe if you'd like more content, and that's kind of it. I had so much difficulty drawing like the hands of this one for all of them really, because I don't know, I'm just so bad with drawing hands. And like all of these poses are really stiff, so that's definitely something I need to improve on. But anyways, I'm happy with the rendering. The rendering was actually pretty different than what I'm usually used to, because I usually work with a lot of layers and I use a lot of like blending and stuff. But for this, I think I just used like the 6B pencil and this modified version of the old beach brush, where I changed the shape of the old beach brush or something so it's like a circle or something, so it's a bit more smoother, it doesn't have the texture, or maybe I changed the grain as well, I don't remember. But those were pretty much the only 2 brushes that I used. I realized that because like the last video that I did, I used Artex's acrylic paint markers. And so since then, I guess like maybe color theory has been like a bit more embedded in my head, that like, oh, I can use this color for shadow. Like I don't need to use another layer on multiply or another layer on this sort of blend mode or whatever, and you know, sort of layer up. Like I can just pick a color and be like, yeah, that's a good shadow color, and use it. Oh yeah, and for Jaden, I gave him a little games console. It is based off of my 3DS, but I don't know if they would have those in Majestic Guardian or not. So yeah, I'm happy with how Jaden turned out, and yeah, I think Jaden just always looks pretty. Like he just always looks pretty, and I'll show you the final results in the end. And then we move on to Laura, who's the narrator of Majestic Guardian. So her hair's orange, burnt orange. Like it's always changing. Like I'm not consistent with the colors that I use. But Laura's hair has always been like this orangey color. So I thought it would suit her well. The orange blossom of this world, this AU, if you'd like. At first, I was having like a bit of difficulty with fitting the orange and the orange blossom. At first, I was thinking of giving her like an orange in her ribbon, or like the blossoms in her ribbon, but I didn't really know how to like fully convey that. Eventually, I realized that I could just make her ribbon green to simulate like leaves, orange leaves. Her clothing in the small like thumbnail kind of looks like what she does wear in Majestic Guardian, except for there's not that orange loop. It's just another piece of denim. It's like this denim skirt that like spirals in on itself. The orange part is the addition, which I think that works with the setting and everything. I'm not too sure about like the orange on her scarf. Yeah, I don't know if she'd wear a brooch. So I kind of made it a sticker in the end, because I'd imagine she'd probably make her own stickers at some point, or be fascinated in that, because she is the sort of more artsy one of the bunch. So originally I had her holding a paintbrush, because I was like, if Jaden's holding a gaming console, then why not? But then I decided to give her a sketchbook instead, because I was like, that suits her more. And it's kind of like an homage to my yellow sketchbook, which I still haven't finished. It's been 4 years or 3 years or something like that. No, yeah, technically 4. We're in 2025 now. That's crazy. Anyways, I changed up her shoes as well. So I made her shoes have a bit more of like an orange aspect to it. And I changed up the brooch as well to be a bit more like a badge, I guess, or like an enamel pin, I'd imagine it as, maybe, or like a sticker or something of that effect. And I don't really have much to say. Honestly, looking back at the recording, I'm just remembering what I was watching during the same time. So I don't know if I'm gonna go on a bit of a yappy session. But I started rewatching like Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and now I'm like really convinced that I should do a video where I try and study the backgrounds from Scooby-Doo, because the backgrounds are really like interesting, and they're like simple enough that they can be achieved. Like is that a plane in the sky? Can you hear a plane in the background? Sorry if you can. But they're very sort of like simplistic, but they're very effective in getting the mood across, especially because the characters are drawn in very like simplified ways, so to speak. So I think I want to do an art video in the future at some point, particularly because I want to go more of a webcomic-y, webtoony sort of way for Majestic Guardian, where I study those backgrounds. So let me know if you're interested in that. Anyways, maybe Laura's art is done by now. I don't know. Anyways, back to Laura. I added in some like orange buttons for her sleeves and her shirt. And again, giving a bit more of that, like, it's still Laura, but it's kind of giving cottagecore Laura. Also, her shirt, I made it a bit more orange, because I thought it would suit. So yeah, that's Laura. And then we're moving on to the third and final piece of today's video. So with he's arguably the mainest character in Majestic Guardian, especially the whole series. He sort of comes to Earth. I won't really go into much detail of like who he is and his whole life story, but I wasn't quite too sure of what fruit to give him, because there's a part of him that reminds me of like raspberries. I think he would enjoy raspberries. Whether or not he gives off raspberry vibes, I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. And besides, I had like a character who was more raspberry than Oliver. So I decided not to give him sort of like the raspberry equivalent. And I was thinking like, oh, I was eating lychees at the time. And I was like, oh, Oliver would totally give like lychee vibes. But also like lychees aren't really a thing in strawberry shortcake. So I went with strawberries, but I was like, his color scheme doesn't really have anything red in it. His like sort of casual outfit or whatever is this like teal hoodie, this white round neck shirt, and these baggy camo trousers. So I was like, oh, what would I do for that? And then I remembered the viral like white strawberries. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so Oliver. So I played around, I mucked around quite a bit with like developing a hat or something because I knew I wanted to give him like a hat. Because I couldn't think of much of a different way to like introduce the strawberry theme to his outfit. I eventually landed on like this hat design that I liked. I gave it sort of like those woolly sort of like plats on the sides, and I made them have like 2 strawberries hanging from it. I later on like changed the color of the strawberries, so strawberries went red. I gave him the hoodie that he wears in Majestic Guardian. The only thing I really changed was the sort of like the sleeves of the hoodie, because in Majestic Guardian it's like up to his wrists, whereas here it's like to his elbows. I decided to give him a bit more of a strawberry shirt or like a jumper, which I think it turned out really cute. I feel like I would want a strawberry jumper like that, but the problem is now, because of the sort of like the green that was meant to be the leaves and the red that was meant to be the strawberry, it reminds me of the Spider-Verse burger. Like it reminds me of the Spider-Verse burger like so much, and I can't unsee it. Like it just reminds me of the burger, because I think before I added the seeds it reminded me of like lettuce and like tomatoes and like the beige as in like maybe the bun of a burger. And then after adding the seeds, it just reminded me of the Spider-Verse burger, and I can't undo that in my brain. But I feel like if I was to like make a cardigan like that, or not cardigan, if I was to make a jumper like that, I would probably change the sort of like the seeded stripes that were like meant to resemble strawberries. I'd probably make them as like overlapping pointed blobs, like more of a strawberry shape, like overlapping strawberry shapes, so that it gives across more of like a strawberry vibe. But yeah, I gave him his same like camo-ish trousers, but I like sort of like dialed back the camo-ness of it. Like I made it more just like this greeny color. And on his shoes as well, I think I added the seeds on his shoes. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I didn't really have much that I could give him. Again, looking back at this, I'm noticing that I'm so bad at drawing like poses, particularly with Laura's as well. Like Laura's was quite stiff. I was okay with Jaden's. Jaden gave off Jaden vibes. But with Laura's, it looked stiff, and it was done in the same direction or like the same facing as Jaden, because I kind of wanted to like put them next to each other. And so I ended up doing Oliver in this stiff pose as well, because I was like, oh, I don't really want them to look not similar. That was my cat, you might have heard. Anyways, I didn't want them to look too unsimilar, so I kept him in a bit of a stiff pose as well. And I had a tricky time with his hands as well. But I'm happy with how all of the hands turned out in the end. I didn't really have much that I could give Oliver to hold, like an item that wasn't apparent. I decided to give him a note instead, so you don't know what's on the note, so it's a secret. Anyways, I guess as we're wrapping up, I'll speak a bit more about Majestic Guardian. So if you've made it this far, I guess you're like slightly interested in Majestic Guardian. For those of you who don't know, Majestic Guardian is like a fantasy series which it falls into like quite a couple of categories, so I might put them on screen. But essentially the first book gives off very like slice of life, very magic girl, very reverse isekai, mystery core. So there's a lot of things going on with Majestic Guardian. I could have given him his gem, but I was like, I wouldn't expect them to have gems or anything of the sort in Strawberry Land, so I didn't give it to him. I don't really have much more to say. Oh yeah, and I gave everybody fingernails in this like drawings. Like I gave Jaden fingernails because I've never really drawn hands with fingernails, and then I did, and then I gave Laura and I gave Oliver. So these are my first hands with fingernails. They're a real like hit or miss. Like if you draw them wrong, it's very apparent. But yeah, I think they turned out pretty alright. Here's how all of them look side by side. I kind of gave them like a splash wall behind them of like the fruit that they're symbolizing. And here's the thumbnails for them. So we've got Jaden, and then we have Laura, which I feel like I could do better with Laura's hands. I think, actually, to be honest, I think Oliver's hands turned out the best. I'm just like staring at the hands now. But Jaden's is not that bad. I like Jaden's like right hand more than his left hand, more than like the one holding the game console. But I do like the shading on his. I liked Oliver's, but it makes sense because I had the most practice with Oliver's. Laura's, I think I could have done better, but I'm not gonna redo him. But I really do like the shading on like some of these, like on the clothes and the wrinkles of some of these, especially in Laura's shirt. I think the shading's kind of fancy. Yeah, and that's it for today's video. I don't know if I'll do another one of these. It was fun to do, but like it requires a lot of effort because wait, let me see how long it took. Because it's 3 drawings technically, or like 3 illustrations in one. So the grand total for this week's art video blah 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 is 23 hours. Yeah, so basically I spent a day of my life during these 3 drawings. So I hope you enjoyed them. I don't know if I'll do more. I do have ideas for more of my characters from Majestic Guardian. Potentially I might do them after releasing a couple of chapters of Majestic Guardian so that they're already introduced. Jaden is one of those characters that has kind of been on my channel for like a little bit. There is like slight information about him already, so it's not too spoilery. Neither is what I said spoilery. But if you're interested in more about Majestic Guardian and more about the characters, there are like sketchbook tours that go into it, so you can check those out. Or you can check out Majestic Guardian, though be warned, the first 2 episodes are more, I guess, illustrated, if anything. They're more like background arty, they're more like, they're not in the sort of like web comic-y direction that I'm going to take the 3rd chapter in. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!